Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Game Hub. I'm your host, Gamer.EXE, and we are in for another Top 13 video, and I'm finally debuting my Cheshire Cat neon smile sign, and I find it very funny that it's grinning because it's a bad list this week on something I love near and dear to my heart. And it's kind of obvious with the other artwork next to it. I'm going over the Mega Man series this week, and you'd think I'd be joyed. Almost forgot I need this, my PET, because these viruses need to fucking die. Oh my god. If there's one thing that a lot of people can agree on is the Battle Network series is one of the best of the Mega Man spinoffs that was given a full, amazing series to live on. And either if it's from the video game or it's from the NT Warrior anime, everyone can find some bosses and some characters that they love with a passion. But not this week. This week, we're going over the worst bosses in the Battle Network series. And this is a list that has been in development since I finally got over 2 years ago, the Mega Man Battle Network series. Finally beating all 6 games, because I only ever beat 6 when I was a kid. And I've played 4 and 5, but I digress. Once again, this is a worse list considering I'm going over each full design of characters. Obviously, their boss fight, their whole battle aesthetic. I'll be incorporating also their net operator as well, because in this series you kind of get a lot about the character from their partner, and if they have any implement into the story or the scenario itself. But enough of that. It's time to jack in with Gamer.EXE's top 13 worst Battle Network bosses. And why top 13? Because here on the Game Hub, only the odd can be number 1. So now, jack in and power up. If the joke itself didn't sell the iterating point here, number 13 on the list is one of the bulkiest but not greatest bosses ever, Nightman. And I find it very funny that a knight is a villain in this, somewhat. He is the Navi of Princess Pride, who is the Princess of Creamland. Okay, yeah, take the bad jokes of that what you will. I won't be making them. She attends a conference with a lot of the net officials to discuss the evil cyber corporation Gospel, aka another set of net terrorists. Seriously, if those net terrorists were like in fiction, imagine them now. Pride, obviously, is the odd one out, considering Creamland's small population and how other countries went vast in the terms of tech and the net. Creamland kind of faded into existence, where she's planning on getting revenge. Because naturally. But she sets a lot of traps, which also capture Trod and Lan. After finding out her plan, we net battle Nightman, and good God, does this thing take forever! Obviously, damaging Nightman is very difficult, considering unless he attacks, you can't damage him all the way. All your chips and all your Mega Buster amounts is to 1 point of damage. Until that's only when he isn't moving in his stone form. When he goes for an attack, which basically causes the panels to crack, sending out his giant heavy ball to shoot at you, or swing it around like a mace, he is vulnerable. So all your chips will do their calculated damage. But His boss fight gets a little bit better in Battle Network 5, whereupon trying to drill for some ore on an abandoned island, where we stumble upon her because, you know, we go on vacation or to get away and make everyone feel better after losing their navvies in number 5, and she's drilling for ore, and our friends are in danger.
Of course.
Am I going to be using this a lot? Because if so, I would like to have a counter going. So, the boss fight there is a little bit better because he does move around, so he's not in the center position. But again, he is heavy armored, and it takes forever. Especially if you don't know that going ahead of time. And making it worse, he has no elemental vulnerabilities. Yeah, he's one of those few who doesn't have huge elemental differences that causes more damage. But he's lower on the list because as frustrating and long his battle is because of that gimmick, getting to play as him in Battle Network 5 kind of makes up for it. Yeah, any of the characters who we end up playing with in Mega Man Battle Network 5 and 6 totally makes up for their boss fights because at least we get to use them afterwards. Yeah. Next. Yeah, normally I wouldn't put optional bosses on this list, but this one managed to slither in. Snake Man, a Battle Network boss in number 2, who is an optional boss fight after we do a little bit of a mission and find Miss Millions. Yeah, and her partner Snake Man, which, design-wise, I'm not mad at it. A snake dude coming out of a jar? I mean, that's pretty cool. Going into Snake Man's boss fight, again, is optional, which is why, again, he's lower on the worst list. But again, his boss fight isn't anything special. He's in the back of his row with three broken panels in front of him, meaning we can't really get up close with him with our sword attacks unless we area steal and use ones that go over 2 squares. He's a coward. If we're facing in his row, he hides in his jar while snakes come out attacking us at all 3 panels. And then he'll use like a Gatling gun, He'll come out and bite us every now and then, but Snake Man, you'd think a design like that and that kind of scenario would break the panels behind us and sneak attack bite us like a snake in the grass, like for crying out loud. And this is me thinking about it over years, a couple years after playing the game and everything. And again, yeah, he was a lot better in the anime. The scenario there was a lot better. But again, you know, anime, video game, changing, differences, all that. But, yeah, Snake Man's at the bottom, near the bottom of the list because, again, as bland and uninspired as his boss fight is, it always could have been worse. Yes. Mega Man Battle Network 6 gave forth some of the most creative designs and characters that the game finale ever deserved. And most like a lot of entries in a lot of games, no matter how fantastic all the bosses are in said game, there's one that may sneak. And yeah, this is the only one from Battle Network 6 that is the weak of the pack. Vic and his partner Element Man. Coming to Sky City, where the weather is controlled by a single computer. Seriously, If everything is controlled by a single computer and a majority of these get viruses by cyber terrorists, where's the security program? Seriously, where's the cybersecurity in these high-end and these important systems that if one person gets hold of them, it wreaks havoc? Because we've had animals go loose, we've had aquatic animals go loose, we've had police bots go crazy, we've had a secret laboratory almost get turned into an oven. Seriously, Mega Man Battle Network, why aren't you secure? There was more security people in Star Force, for crying out loud. Although, again, that's not saying much. Anyway, my rant aside, Element Man is a pretty good boss fight. Design-wise, he doesn't really look like the typical Element guy. Like, his body parts aren't made of different elements. But more accurately, he's this purple pale looking golem kind of creature with the elemental ring around his back. And he does change color in terms of different attacks. From lightning to water to ice to fire to wood to air. And yeah, it's a pretty cool concept. He doesn't speak, he doesn't like grumbles that's translated later. And his partner Vic is definitely the creepy guy of the group. Like, look at this guy. It looks like if Jack Nicholson took up an anime character. Oh, maybe there's still time for that. Maybe. But yeah, the reason Element Man is this low on the list is out of all the bosses in the New World 3, he's the one I didn't die on at all. Even when I was playing it as a kid, because, yeah, you're basically giving me your weakness there, buddy. And not the smartest thing to do. I mean, if he goes electric, go wood. If he goes wood, go fire. If he goes fire, go water. If he goes water, go electric. You're literally rock, paper, scissoring yourself into a fucking corner, pal. The only one where he doesn't get is his main form, which is the wind attacks, where very easy to dodge, considering they just go on the out. One goes on the outside way, and the other one goes the same direction, but on the reverse. So it's not like the wind ones will get you a lot. So yeah, great design. Again, like I'm saying, great design, but execution, not the greatest in the series. Again, he's still on the lower half of the list because being able to be Nightman was acceptable. Snake Man being optional is, again, acceptable. Element Man, cool design. Again, I can let bad combat skate by if the design is good. Speaking of, yes, I know what's coming. Just one of these days, I'm gonna get you. Play the fucking clip already.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
Sharkman and Mesa. No secret agent bullshit in this. Just Mesa is in a fish cart outside a government building, and he's an optional boss. Granted, so is Skullman and Woodman, but of the three, Sharkman is the one that gave me the most difficult. Because this boss fight is overtly hard and does something that none of the other bosses do in the game. He stays under the water with his fin out and two other fins circling. And when you are in the same column as said fin, they will rush toward you. So you'll have to shoot the fins to make him come up surface out of the water, and then you can get him. But then he'll use aqua towers. He'll rush you. It took me so long to beat this freaking aquatic nightmare. And again, design-wise, again, it's Sharkman. Dude, No issues. But for the love of God, he's in one game. Okay, technically he's in Battle Network 3 in the tournament, but he gets defeated later off screen. So, not gonna lie, I don't care. Sharkman, we don't need a bigger boat. You just need a better outing. And this wasn't frickin' it. But again, optional boss. Still on the lower half of the list. And if I'm looking at my list correctly, which I am, all five of the bottom tiers have excuses of why it's okay for them to be bad. Either design-wise or optional boss. Doesn't really matter. Everyone else on this fucking list had no reason being as bad as they are. Start the next one.
Christ! I was frozen today! Christ! I was frozen today!
Imagine that as a story scenario. Huh? Introducing one of our many opponents in the Sun or Moon final tournament of Battle Network 4, one of the worst ones in the series. Ivan Chilsky and his partner Coldman, which, all honesty, I'm glad that it's Coldman because in the anime it's Fridge Man, which just sounds really freaking stupid. This compact little shit. I don't care if he can keep my iced tea cold. It's a nuisance. First off, trying to fight the fucker. First, we find out that because Ivan is from Sharo, which is basically the Mother Russia. Yeah, every time I play the game or I hear this guy talk, I always try to give him a Russian accent because I think it would be hilarious. But after finding out that, we're in a tropical location and he's wearing a huge fur overcoat, he sends Coldman into the net to chill things out with this cyber snowman. And after we stop them, they go away. Until they start a full course blizzard to cool it down. So we got to go all the way to Sharo, but before we can do that, we have to jack into the 3 satellites that are outside while shoveling the snow, making sure land's body temperature doesn't go below zero, but a certain point, or else we'll have to go back in and do them again. And we have to light cyber torches by using specific fire attribute battle cards. So I hope you're not one of those people who traded away a bunch of battle chips in the chip trader earlier on, because you need them. And obviously they tell you which one that you need, but finding them is a pain. So if you didn't do that, you're on a good course. Fighting him, on the other hand, is bullshit. Oh my God. Seriously, fighting this cold fucker is so difficult. To a degree. He freezes every panel on the board except for the 3 that he sidesteps on in the back. He'll send out a cold air that damages you. And also, if you're not having air shoes or you don't have an ability that stops you, the panels from affecting you, you're going to be slipping a lot. He'll send out ice cubes and push them down the columns. He'll jump up and press you, breaking the panel. And obviously he's an ice type, so, electric chips will work against you. But if he pulls up the ice cubes right when your electric attack's about to hit, seriously, there is, as far as I don't know what it is about the Mega Man Battle Network series, but water and they're in the same category as Aqua Element, but all ice and water elemental bosses are shit. except for Dive Man. He's the only exception. But seriously, I mean, and I wouldn't get too mad. I mean, I would, because the boss fight is annoying and a piss to play. But considering the motivation was, oh, it's too warm in this country. Let's
Christ! I was frozen!
take off your coat! Well,
Mr. Match is finally back in town.
yeah. We went from freaking cold to a blazing inferno. Flame Man from Mega Man Battle Network 3. And the worst of matches, freaking Navi's match. What are you doing on this list? You were my favorite. You were my buddy. But, oh, I'm just happy that this is his last bout as a villain before he goes good in Network 6 and kind of redeems himself in number 4, but you guys get my point. Match portrays himself as changed his ways and wants to make nice with Milan by asking if he could update something into the server of Scilabs, which overnight turns it into a fucking furnace, allowing Flame Man to get a part of the data that they need for their Grandmaster plan in this one. Because Flame Man, design-wise, it's not the best. I mean, it looks like a mechanical lion with the flame mane going over its body. And then there's this boss fight, which is the lamest and most irritating thing. There are these two candles next to him, and depending on the flame, they give off different effects. If it glows bright, it's gonna heal him. If it glows pink, it will make him faster. If it glows green, he's invulnerable. So not only do you have to fight him, you have to put out the lights by hitting them, the candles by hitting them, so that his flames will die and he'll be vulnerable. And he does the classic fire attacks from Match. He does a fire breath and a fire tower attack. Yeah, not much to say, but again, the fact that Mr. Match, again, was evil, it would have been a little bit better if they got a different character, because this is Match's third Net Navi, and he was an optional boss in number 2 with Heatman, and then he goes back? Whatever. Snuff out his candles and douse the fire. And that's pretty much it. I'm done with fire jokes. What should have been a badass entry, and the fact that this was a fan design that got created for the game, and then became the final villain of the Dark Chip Syndicate of the anime. I'm only counting the English because I didn't watch the Mega Man Cyber Beasts subbed. I don't care. So, what joke am I gonna go for with this?
It even fires huge rays of lasers at giant lasers. You hear loads a giant laser fires deadly lasers, giant freaking laser beams, and the customary black hole that every Kirby.
You heard the man, entering the final Net Navi boss for Battle Network 4, and I'm hopefully that we're done with this fucking one. Laser Man and Dr. Regal. Seriously, this guy, all he was missing was the mustache to twirl and the maniacal organ music playing. Laser Man, Not gonna lie. Laserman's design, I give credit to whatever fan all those years ago came up with this. But his boss fight, just considering it's the last boss fight before the main threat, you'd expect it to be a real challenge. And considering that earlier on in the story, Laserman is the guy who took the shadow of one of our competitors, either Gutsman or Aquaman, and create a shadow of them to fight. And then we fight Shadow Dark Soul Megaman, I believe. You'd think he'd utilize that in his fight, but no. It's either cross laser beam that splits into 4 directions, or he sends a big laser that drops rubble on us. Very rarely do post, it's more his physique is intimidation factor and less you being utilized. That's how I would put it. So, yeah. Great design, shit boss fight, and that's why he's on here. The list. And again, for being a pre-final fight, like, he could have, like used his laser and cloned us, and then made us fight, use attacks that copied some of the Mabbies that we went up against in the game. Do something like that, but no, just big menacing villain, which he is menacing, again, but all style, no substance.
What are you, wacko?
No, I'm wacko.
Not in this one, you aren't. I mean, Color Man. Really? Color Man. That's what you fucking went with. Really? Wacko Man sounds so much more loopy, and I mean, his design alone is absolutely bonkers. No, not that bonkers. No, wrong bonkers. And his operator Maddie, again, as name suggests, she's a little cuckoo. Honestly, them appearing only in the first Mega Man game and causing traffic light issues, and also causing Iceman to betray us. I'm not gonna lie, he had a little bit more to do in the game. His boss fight, on the other hand, it's painful how underutilized his whole wacko personality is. I mean, from shooting the ball that he has and follow the bouncing ball, to having 2 Wobbuffets at standby. One, if it gets hit, it produces fire towers. The other one, aqua tower. As interesting, again, as interesting as design-wise, Color Man just feels bland and uninspired. And it's only at the halfway mark of the list. And I haven't even gotten super mad yet. Nope. I'm not doing that joke. Quarter Guy already did it. Speaking of which, go follow the Quarter Guy. Follow his videos. A lot of them are really, really fun. And I owe this video to him for giving me the inspiration to tackle the Battle Network series after completing the games.
Stupid boulder.
It's not just a boulder. It's a rock. A rock. A rock.
I hate the fact that in this year alone, I've used this joke twice. And it's a pain in the ass. Stone Man from Battle Network 1. Easily the lamest boss ever. And one of the lamest villains in the story. I mean, his entire thing is just as a roadblock. Yes, I went there with that dumb joke, but it's accurate. He does nothing but stand there in the net and stop people from advancing forward and stopping everyone from advancing. That's it. And him being a giant stone idiot that doesn't flinch. You cut out. My bad. So, like I was saying, the fact that Stone Man is just sitting on the net, holding a cyber program to prevent the Metro line from going, he does nothing. And his boss fight is even lamer than that. Actually, no, it's not. It's exactly what you think. He just stands in the one section, not moving a fucking muscle, bringing up rock cubes and slamming his fists, dropping boulders on us that they don't even go in like a random pattern. It's 3 that drop at the same time. They're highlighted, so you will barely get hit. Although, to be fair, other than the chips, he only takes like 1 point of damage. But the worst part of it is getting to him. Because it's kind of in this somewhat maze-ish section of first in the net. And it's one of the first few bosses that you fight in this goddamn game. So, yeah, the quality control for Mega Man Battle Network 1 was very few and far between. Oh, this is getting me a headache. Continue. Right name, wrong source material. Another entry from Battle Network 4, Sparkman and his partner Terry. Before our match, Terry is this guy who basically tells us that he's going to upgrade our PET because he's a tech guy. But it turns out our battle chip folder is locked. So we gotta fucking unlock it. And until we do, we're stuck with that. And I think there's there's 2 ways that we can unlock it. Either by getting a program online or finding this one guy and having it unlock it. I don't care at this moment. Half the bosses in Battle Network 4 are annoying at worst and irritating at... No, opposite way. They're annoying at best and outright frustrating at worst. And Terry is definitely one of them. Being a jackass, he wants to cheat to win and prove it to his grandfather or something like that. It's one of those lackluster, uninteresting freaking ones I talked about in my ranking all the tournament scenarios. But this fight with Sparkman is as bad as interesting as it goes. He sends out a electric mine at us. He does a shockwave attack. So, and obviously, get a lot of wood chips if you can. There's just not a lot to say about these Battle Network 4 bosses other than design-wise, they're cool. But again, the combat in Battle Network 4 isn't really the best for me. 5 and 6 and 3 were absolutely fantastic.
Go, ooh, look, a little cloud. About 3 minutes later. Holy crap!
Top 3, and we're starting off with what it's like outside right now. Cloudman from Battle Network 5. Out of the Dark Lloyds in that game, he's easily one of the lamest. Just this kind of intimidating looking guy in a dark cloud, and his attacks. And considering we have to beat him in within 3 turns, or we have 3 turns like to deal as much damage as we can, doesn't really give a full front about how how utilized he can be. Cloudman will create cloud cloud fodder and hide inside of one of them, which will be the one that's moving a lot. Seriously, if you're going to hide, don't make it so obvious. And we just got to shoot the clouds to get to him. He'll send out an electrical cloud, which will shoot out a cross laser that goes diagonal and 2 straight, 1 side. Or it will do 4, depending if it's in the center. And then he'll turn into a massive dark cloud behind us and move throughout our area trying to get us. Basic principle. Stack up on your wood chips. And he's one of the boss fights that happens when we get a good amount of characters in our troop. But he's the one that comes right before Mega Man gets taken. And then we have to do the whole shit with Colonel or Proto Man. Again, design-wise, Cloudman is pretty good, but again, I'm skimping on his boss fight because there's really nothing to talk about. I explained it so much. But these next two, how the high standard for how irritating, simple, and how obnoxiously stupid can go a long way. Play it.
Bubble thing makes colossal bubbles and it's new from Whammo.
Yeah. To a big surprise, Bubble Man from Battle Network 3, aka the pain in the ass of the entire series game and the anime, who becomes a frickin' joke, is number 2 on my list. Stopping people with a washing machine, encasing them in bubbles that will suck up their air. Yeah, popping this little bastard is as easy as his boss fight is annoying. What we gotta do is we gotta chase him onto the net, find out we can't get to him unless we get the compress program. We go find the guy we talked to earlier in the game about it. He installs it. But the thing is, in order to install it, we have to remove some of our programs that we already did. And we got to do that every single fucking time we got to go into these areas. So then... oh my God. After we do all that and we get the compress program and go back into those narrow corridors, Bubble Man puts up a bubble barricade where he gives one of his henchmen a pin, so we got to go back around and fight them and get it, and then we got to go all the way back to fight him. And we have to fight this fucker twice. Once then, and once near the end game, like we do, like after Battle Network. Battle Network 3 is actually where we start that trend of previous bosses we having to fight them at the end of the villain's hideout, which I do love. But Bubble Man, oh my fucking God, he's annoying, and his boss fight. He's in a bubble shield with a harpoon gun, and there's a big hole in the middle where bubbles are constantly being released, one of which has a torpedo fish that attacks us. And there's a rock in one section that covers him, so unless you have a good amount of electric chips that don't just slowly grow across the field, you're going to be screwed a lot. So yeah, a lot of electric chips, but even his harpoon gun attack goes fast, so you really got to keep on your toes with this little shit. And then afterwards, he cries uncle and tries to trick us. I say tries because the player obviously doesn't fall for it, but Land falls for it like was hit in the head. What makes Bubble Man so worse is that he doesn't have a net operator to kind of, like, if he had an operator who was as annoying as him, I think people would have hated it. But if he had a operator who was, like, kind of stern and serious while he's dicking around and being a crybaby and a whiner, I think it would have balanced it out a little bit. But no, we get an annoying little shit that is as painful to battle against as getting to the fight itself. Well, there's only one spot left, ladies and gentlemen. Cue the montage.
Iceman cometh. Kick some ice. Can you be cold? Chill. Freeze well. Cool party. Stay cool.
If your answer was D, no fucking shit!
Easily the worst boss fight in the Mega Man Battle Network series for me. Yeah, him and Bubble Man have been on some terrible lists. Bubble Man sometimes getting on the top of the list. But absolutely annoying personality-wise. Annoying boss fight. Having to get to him as a chore. Those are terrible qualities for a boss fight. But when this one boss is supposed to be a second in command of the villain, and if you know what you're doing and you know what to expect, you can fucking decimate him. And the fact that he does very little attacks, very little interaction in the story, which would have made him cool, which would have made him a little bit better, and his presence would have been so cool, like it was in the anime, and his design is so cool, and the look is so cool, but the boss fight is walking on paper-thin ice! Freeze Man! How the fuck do you fuck this up? Freeze Man's boss fight is as easy as it could possibly be. Not only is this guy the guy who created the environmental disaster program that all of Gospel was trying to do to revive the Gospel Beast, he doesn't show up anywhere throughout the game. He's mentioned by the Valen Grave. And the boss fight is so simple. Freeze Man. Also, in order to get him, we have to go through all these evil nabbies to collect these blue frags, yellow frag, red frag, in order to destroy ice crystals that Freeze has put throughout the area. In order to break them. To progress. You know, like some things like Mega Man Battle Network has done in the future, but done with more flair. And then his boss fight. His fucking boss fight. This is the second in command we're talking about here, guys. Second in command. And, so, he blows a wind on us to push us to the back panel. There's ice all over the place. Icicle crystals fall down on us. Ice spikes come out. And then he encapsulates himself in an ice barrier that after a couple shots will be destroyed. But that isn't the stupidest thing about this boss fight. The dumb thing about it is that if you use, since you know you're going up against an ice type, because ice and water are aqua attribute, all you need is electric chips to double the damage. And since he's on an ice field, it even further increases damage. So, he's an ice-themed villain with an ice field, which is his weakness, electric. You hit him with an electric chip, it does almost 3 times the damage, because he loses extra damage because of the ice panel, plus his own elemental weakness. And this is near the end of the game. And after we defeat him, all the ice crystals are destroyed. You know, that thing that we had to fight other guys to get the fragments in order to destroy the crystals? All for naught. Yeah. Defeating him gets rid of all of the ice crystals. Freeze Man. You could have been so much more. He was as intimidating as a glacier plane, but as easy to beat as me shoveling the snow outside of my house. How do you make something like this be easier to beat than Bubble Man? And that is why Freeze Man is the worst Battle Network boss. No access throughout the story. Has no purpose in the story. Doesn't show up until near the end game. Has no reason being a second in command other than in title only, because his attacks and his prowess doesn't fucking showcase that he's top level material. And his boss fight is so simple and so easy that unless you don't know anything about the elemental weaknesses this late in the game, I don't understand how. I'm getting a fucking headache from this. Like I said, Freeze Man, worst of the bunch. Thank you for joining in for this video, guys. It's been a while since I've done a bad list for a while, so I'm going to need to recuperate. Like, comment, subscribe down below, and join me next week, ladies and gentlemen, where I take a break from ranting and try not to laugh with one of my favorite YouTubers in another Try Not to Laugh challenge. This is Gamer K, logging out.